Happy to have that trio with us right now as I'm joined by Trace, Nick, and Amani. Guys, let's talk about last year before we look ahead to this year. You lost 2 games by a total of 4 points. Amani, I'll start with you. You can work your way down. How has what happened last year motivated you guys for this year?
It's just been a learning process. We've taken those and used it as just like a chip on our shoulder. We use it as just a way of studying film. And we're not dwelling on it. We're looking forward to the next season. So,
how about from your point of view, Nick?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a win or a loss, you want to learn something from each game. And that's what we're able to do. We have a great coaching staff, smart guys in the room with us. So, yeah, we're taking those games as learning experiences and try to apply what we learned the best of this season.
Yeah, I think really just using the learning experience for those games, understanding that when you're playing top-level competition in the Big Ten or even top-level competition in the nation, that every little detail matters. And, 4 points is the difference between us playing in Indianapolis last year for a Big Ten championship and not. And I think that's the ultimate thing that we've been able to learn from that is every little detail matters, and everything is so important when you reach that top level of competition.
Is there something you guys talk about, though, Nick? I mean, do you say, hey, man, think about how close we were. This last rep could be the one that gets you over the top? I mean, is it motivate you in that way, or is it just the kind of thing where it's in the back of your head a little bit?
Right. Yeah, I think you can always take it as motivation, especially if you don't come out how you want to come out. But I try not to get too caught up in hypotheticals. Football, you have to deal with the wins and losses, and bottom line, you want to learn from it. And then the next week, you want to do the best you can to come out on top.
All right, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about your summers. Yours looked to be a lot of fun, just from looking at your social media. I mean, you were in Mexico, Lake Erie, Manning Passing Academy.
Yep.
What stood out? What was the most enjoyable part of the summer?
I mean, definitely as far as a relaxing time, being able to go down to Mexico and kind of get a little bit of away time from campus and kind of recuperate and kind of recharge my batteries before coming back, getting ready to start the summer, getting ready for the season. But being down at the Manning Passing Academy down in Louisiana was an experience I'll never forget. I mean, being able to learn from those guys, 2 future Hall of Famers in Peyton and Eli, that trying to absorb as much from them. And then, the Manning family, they're incredible hosts to all of us. That, Mr. Manning, Archie is a great guy, and Cooper is one of the funniest guys out there. And just being able to be around them and kind of experience, a little bit of the Southern cooking that they had down there, eat some good food, and then also being able just to meet all the other college guys who were there and get to build some relationship with guys like Alex Hornibrook and David Blau from the Big Ten, but other guys, down in the SEC, and being able to meet them and hang out with them outside of football, it was really an awesome experience.
Now, when you're down in Mexico, I mean, I assume you have no anonymity in your life whatsoever in State College, right? I mean, you walk down the street, people are pointing you out, people are calling to you. In Mexico, did anyone know who you were?
I think there might have been one person who just happened to also be like a Penn State fan staying there. But, yeah, no, for the most part, it was just your average American hanging out down in Mexico.
Nick, let's talk about your journey. You started your career as a running back at Penn State. Then you became a special teams ace. Now you're going to be a starter at safety. What has that progression taught you?
It's taught me the importance of being a role player. Nobody who's not starting is satisfied with as much playing time as they have. But one thing I try to live by is embracing my role but not being satisfied with it. I've took on the special teams role wholeheartedly, love doing it, but obviously I wanted to continue to grow as a player and be a better safety.
Amani, a year ago, you didn't really know if you would play all that much. I remember talking to you on a BTN Live as your season started to progress, and you're picking off passes and you're being mentioned as one of the better corners in the Big Ten, and all of a sudden it kind of started to take off for you. So give me a sense now, in a season where not only you're going to be playing, but you're going to be counted on in a somewhat inexperienced secondary. How does that change your mentality?
It just changes it in the aspect of being more of a leader. Given that game experience, I can use that and, kind of pass it down to the younger guys and kind of bring them up to scale to get that success that I've had so far. And like I said, being a leader, just being able to be a vocal guy, not just a leader by example, and using that however we can put that together to, make our team the best team we can be.
Who are the leaders that you guys benefited from early on in your time at Penn State? Amani, I want to start with you, but I'm interested in all of you because you're all in leadership roles now, and somebody is your guide along that path. Who was it for you?
I mean, we've had a lot of leaders come through. I would say back in my time, I know watching Mike Hull, he was a linebacker back then. He was kind of that leader by example. He just did everything right, always just head down, just a blue-collar guy. But, I mean, even these two right here I've learned a lot from, just guys that are vocal, that, will have those tough conversations with people. And I kind of implement my leadership skills off of them.
I would say Von Walker. From a special teams standpoint, he's a guy who's a special teams captain for us. Didn't have a huge role on defense for a lot of his career, but, every time he was on the field in special teams, he was making his presence felt.
Yeah, I'd say, two guys that I would draw from would be Brandon Bell as a linebacker, a guy that he was one of those, he was a vocal leader, but he was just came in every single day and worked hard and persevered through some tough injuries and ups and downs in his career. And then Christian Hackenberg, kind of how he led the offense as a quarterback and how he handled himself away from the field is someone who I've always admired how he did that and tried to take his approach from there and how he kind of led the team through some tough situations from when he first got here.
Trace, you're getting a ton of hype for the Heisman, for all kinds of other accolades. How do you handle that kind of stuff?
It's an honor to have your name thrown around in that conversation right now. But, I think having the experience with Saquon and how he handled it last year really has helped me. He was, by week 6 of the year, everyone would have said he just give him the award and let's move on with our day. But, towards the end of the year, he unfortunately wasn't a finalist, wasn't in New York for the final ceremony. And I think it just kind of really goes to show you that all the preseason hype and all the early talk, it's nice to be talked about, but it doesn't matter when you get down to December. It's really what's going to happen towards the end of the year in a full body of work, and that's all I'm really focused on. And those awards are usually given to the best players on the best team. So if I can make Penn State one of the best teams, then hopefully I'll be there. But if not, I just want our team to be as successful as we can be.
Well, you guys were awfully good a year ago. You were certainly in that conversation for the best teams. How do you get just that much better? How do you get to the point that Trace is talking about where you are, let's say, in that Final Four and in the playoff?
Right. I think it takes a tremendous amount of buy-in. Guys staying focused at the task at hand, which for us is winning each game each week. If we can go 1-0 each week and just break it down into simple terms like that, we're going to like where we be. Things are going to start to fall into place.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that it definitely takes buy-in, and it just takes doing those little details right, that things behind the scene that people don't see. Repetition, practice, reps. Takes a whole combination of things to be able to get to that point.
On your guys' side of the ball, this was a really, really good defense last year, and yet you lost a lot. I'm assuming that you guys are still confident, that you believe you can be an elite defense once again. Tell me, I can start with you, Amani, but Nick, I'm interested in your thoughts too. Tell me what gives you confidence there.
I mean, we lost some guys the past couple of years, but I just think that there's just kind of a blueprint of what's expected on defense. And I think that if we practice right and we do those little details like I was saying and seize the opportunity that's ahead of us, I think we'll be able to be successful.
Right, yeah. To piggyback off that, I'd say, having an opportunity to play behind guys like Troy Apke, Marcus Allen, Jason Kabinda, they basically taught us what we need to know. Like you said, left us a blueprint. We had a tremendous opportunity to get to learn behind those guys and take what we like from their game and apply it, and then also work on our strengths and progress that way.
Of course, a new blueprint offensively. You've got a new offensive coordinator in Ricky Ronnie. He's someone who you knew. He's been working with you in the past and worked with you as a quarterbacks coach. Now he's the offensive coordinator with Joe Moorhead moving on. How is this offense going to compare to the offense a year ago?
I think we'll see a lot of similarities. I think that's been the benefit of kind of having Coach Ronnie and hiring him as our new OC is that he's been in our system and he's been on the staff for the last 4 or 5 years. Obviously, me and him have a great relationship, but he's also got a great relationship with other guys in our room like Tommy and Sean Clifford, those guys that are going to be vital in our preparation, our game plan in the quarterback room. And he also, having been on staff the last couple of years, he knows what our O-line does well and what situations they perform best in. Same with our wide receivers and our running backs. So I think overall it's been a really seamless transition. He came in. Everyone loves the chip that he's kind of put on his shoulder and making sure that no one's expecting some kind of drop-off, that he's holding everyone to the highest standards possible, and that he's not going to stop working until he makes this offense the best in the nation. That's the goal that he wants us to reach, and he's not going to stop working until he gets there, whether it's this year or 10 years down the road. That's his mentality, and I think that's just gone on the rest of the offense as well.
You had talked about Saquon earlier when you were mentioning the Heisman hype. What's it been like without him back there in the backfield?
It was an adjustment, just really getting to see new faces back there, seeing Miles next to me, Mark next to me, having to get used to those kind of guys standing next to me. But, I'm excited for the opportunities that these two other guys are going to have, and these running backs that be able to step up and fill the shoes. Obviously, we wish Saquon nothing but the best, and, hopefully he can have a healthy and long career, and we all believe that he will. But I'm excited for guys like Miles and Mark and even Jonathan Thomas to be able to get an opportunity to step out on that field and show what they can do.
And not in any way to not focus on those guys, but Miles is the one who's gotten a lot of hype, was a 5-star guy coming out of high school. You both have been in a position where you've had to tackle him. Give us a sense for Miles' game.
Trace talked about it a little earlier, but he's very fast and elusive, but one thing that goes overlooked is his strength. He's got great lower body strength and balance, which only adds to his speed to break arm tackles and things like that. So I think the sky is the limit for him. He's a prototype running back, and I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, I agree. I would say his strength is definitely an attribute. I think he's just a guy that, he notices that he's being living in that shadow, but he's a guy that's ready to take that next step and just prove all those people wrong and just be that premier running back that we need him to be, and I think he's going to be ready for it.
All right, Amani Oruwariye, Nick Scott, Trace McSorley, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
you.
Well, of course.